So our first Ducktail. Pete from Cornwall came to us at the beginning of the year to commission this, specifically because he wanted a Softail, and the reason for that is that a lot of us aren't getting any younger, and a Softail does exactly what it says. We're calling this frame the Ducktail for obvious reasons, and as I've said, this is the first production frame stroke bike that we've put into action. So again, you'll see on the videos that we cut in the process that we've done. We've got the Softtail section here. This is based on our knicker dropper frame, and shocks are hidden underneath. He wanted it to look like a hardtail, but not ride like a hardtail, because as we all find out at the end of the day, they can be a bit brutal on the spine. So we've did a prototype frame, did a lot of filming with a GoPro down on it, so we were making sure that we've got the right suspension travel and that it actually worked. The second, or it could even be the first part of his spec, is that he wanted a bike that he could have a removable pillion seat for those times that you want your girlfriend, wife, whoever on the back, but not on there all the time. So obviously it's got to look as it is, not dissimilar to an old Harley. Obviously it's got an inline 4 engine, so that's slightly different, but he didn't want the pillion on all the time. And I know this isn't something that's we've certainly not done before, and we, apart from a couple of real trick builds out there, they don't often come up. So it's quite simple, although it took a lot of head scratching and working out how we're going to do it properly. So basically you've got your removable bung that sits in there when you're solo, and now you've got a pillion, which, as I think we all sort of agreed, does change the look of it, and you might not want it on there all the time, but it's what he wanted and we like it like that. I think it works. It does look nice. So we've got a specific issues with number plates. We've looked at this, and we've looked at other builds, and we've looked at other builders and just tried to see how they get around it, and we haven't seen anything that's satisfactory. You either put your number plate on the side, on the axle, which doesn't really work. It certainly wouldn't work with this because of where the pipes are. So we've had to go for this kind of look, which I wasn't entirely sure about, but it does work, and it does work on this build. This is a Mark II version of this bracket. Again, they're not an easy thing to make by hand because it's all got to be symmetrical, and that's how it's got to work. But he's happy with it. He hasn't seen it all finished in its finished form in real life. I'm going to deliver it down to him this week, and then we're going to have a chat about how we're going to put all this into production. This runs a 1200 Suzuki Bandit engine. We are looking to use different engines, and you know, as we've said in the past, we can put any bike engine in any of our frames. Just depends how long, how big it would be, and how it works. But the 1200 Bandit engine works. It's a good looking engine. Obviously we've prepped a lot of this with painting and the polished casings, and it runs a treat. So we'll have to see whether we want to change that engine on the next build, but the basis of whatever the production line will be is it will have a Softtail frame, and it will have our removable pillion, which we can do for anybody on pretty much any bike, and then we revert back to a solo. The wheels are off of Hayabusa, Gen 2 Hayabusa, as is the front end. And these wheels have all been, these have been refurbed and painted, but what stands out with these wheels is that they've been diamond cut from the edge in. Again, we can do that with any bikes. They've been sprayed in the centre and then lacquered along with the frame. Pete wanted a smoked chrome look. This is powder coated, as we do with most of our frames, and you might have seen on the Captain America, you can chrome, but it's very expensive and it's very time consuming. So we've gone powder coat, but we searched and searched for a powder coaters that could do a smoked chrome. Now, the biggest problem the boys tell me that just do powder coating all the time is, yes, you can get a smoked chrome, but they usually do them on just car wheels because you can't get a uniform cover, so it would be patchy. So they managed to mix us a powder coat that Pete was more than happy with, and a lot of people have seen it and said, wow, where did you get that from? It's not exclusive to us, but we know what the mix is. So if you want one done like this, you'll need to talk to us first. Okay, so we move on from our pillion stroke solo. We've done our number plate setup. We are on this build, and all the builds we like to use Hell calipers, all new obviously, Hell being a British company. Hell master cylinders, oil cooler and pipes, all the brake lines are from Hell, and to be honest with you, it's such nice kit that why would you go anywhere else? It's nice not to be able to be using a just a stock Bandit caliper, because it does, you know, it does take it to another level. All new discs and bearings on this, little subtle fairing down here as well, which a lot of, you know, if it wasn't on there, you massively wouldn't notice, but when it is, you go like, ah, yeah, we quite like that. Nice little touch we think on that. Again, these pipes, these are a 2-into-1 going into a 2-inch pipe going onto the end cans, which aren't baffled, and which are baffled, sorry. Doesn't need to be any louder, and it's the best sounding 1200 Bandit engine I've ever heard. It doesn't wail, it doesn't scream, it's just a nice noise, I think, and let's face it, noise is everything with a lot of these things. The electrics, it's all had a custom built loom. We've got a mixture of motor gadget and axle joust kit on here. All the switches are all hidden. Most of the wires are running down through the bars, which is nice. And the Venel throttle, it works a treat. This is a quick action, but you can have it. This is on the longest pull that you can get, but you can make it a little bit more brutal, but that's exactly what it will be. Acewell clock, which shows everything. Nobody really likes indicators on bikes, do they? They just get in the way, they look ugly, and we're not a lover of them. You'll see it from here where our side lights are. Again, that won't encroach too much when you've got the pillion on it, because you can see through that. We have checked it out. So in these 7.5mm diameter light units here is the indicators and stoplight, which is insane, all in one little light, which you can see from there. We've also put the number plate lights themselves in the number plate, so that's another nice little touch. Same again on the front. We've got 7.5mm, which you're not going to massively see from that, but we've got 7.5mm on the front. Again, you can't really see them and until you switch them on. Front end, we've got billet yokes, which we do. We've run through the brakes, we've run through those wheels. That's basically it. I'm going to fire it up now so we can all have a little listen. The pegs, all billet, all machined up. The pillion pegs, the rider's pegs, all this has been machined, and again we've gone for our new, which we're going to be putting on in our production frames, the new GAS gusset, which again I've run through on the other bikes, on the other builds, but that took some working out to make sure it's structurally sound, which it is. So that comes with that, and which you can't see in here, but we'll get you some photos of it. It's got our unique frame plates. It's not a VIN number, it's a frame numbered for this specific bike, so it's unique to this frame, to this build. So a bit of outside chatting before I take it up the road on another road test. I didn't mention the airbrush and paintwork by SS Airbrush. Sammy and Seth, who've done this to Pete's spec. This is all airbrush work. Just so if you need any airbrushing, go to them, they're local to us. And we'll give her a little blast up the road.